Hi, I'm Joan Farrell, a legal editor at BLR. On June 24, 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court issued two rulings that have significant implications for employers. In the first, Vance v. Ball State University, the court ruled 5-4 that an employer is vicariously liable for a supervisor's workplace harassment under Title VII only if the employer empowered the supervisor to take tangible employment actions against the victim. The decision is good news for employers because it adopts a narrower definition of supervisor. The stakes were high in this case because an employer can be strictly liable for harassment by a supervisor, but if the harasser is a coworker, there's liability only if the employer knew about the harassment and failed to take corrective action. In a pair of harassment cases decided in 1998, Farragher v. Boca Raton and Burlington Industries v. Ellerth, the Supreme Court created a framework for determining an employer's liability for workplace harassment. The court noted that the term supervisor is not used in Title VII, but was adopted in Farragher and Ellerth as a label for the class of employees whose harassment could give rise to vicarious employer liability. In defining supervisor, the court considered the interpretation that best fits within the structured framework. Under the Farragher-Ellerth framework, if a supervisor's harassment culminates in a tangible employment action, the employer is strictly liable. A tangible employment action is one that causes a significant change in employment status, such as hiring, firing, failing to promote, reassignment with significantly different responsibilities, or a decision causing a significant change in benefits. But if there is no tangible employment action, the employer has an affirmative defense available and may avoid liability if it can show, first, that it exercised reasonable care to prevent and correct harassment, and second, that the complaining employee unreasonably failed to take advantage of the employer's policies and procedures. If the harasser is not a supervisor, the employer is liable only if the employer knew or reasonably should have known about the harassment and failed to take remedial action. In the case decided by the Supreme Court, Mayetta Vance, a catering assistant at Ball State University, claimed she was harassed on the basis of race by a worker that she viewed as a supervisor. Vance claimed that the alleged harasser had the authority to direct her daily activities, but there was no evidence of any authority to fire, discipline, or take other tangible job action. The Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that even if the worker directed Vance's day-to-day activities, those responsibilities weren't enough to make her a supervisor for purposes of a harassment claim under Title VII. The Supreme Court affirmed the Seventh Circuit's ruling, resolving a split in the circuits on this issue. The Seventh Circuit's decision aligns with decisions in the First and Eighth Circuits, while the Second, Fourth, and Ninth Circuits have ruled that a supervisor includes those with authority for day-to-day activities. This was also the EEOC's definition, which the Supreme Court in its opinion called nebulous. According to the majority opinion in Vance, its definition of supervisor is easily workable in the courts and can be applied without undue difficulty at both the summary judgment stage and at trial. Calling the majority's definition blind to the realities of the workplace, the dissenting opinion by Justice Ginsburg favored following the EEOC's guidance and including in the definition of supervisor those who can direct an employee's daily activities. The opinion noted that in the Farragher case, there was no evidence that one of the supervisors had authority to take tangible employment actions. Nonetheless, the employer was found vicariously liable for the supervisor's harassment. What mattered, the opinion points out, was that both men, the supervisor who had authority for tangible employment actions and the one who did not, took advantage of the power vested in them to facilitate the abuse. Justice Ginsburg concluded her dissent by calling on Congress to correct the error of the majority and to restore the robust protections against workplace harassment the court weakened with its decision. Be sure to watch our related video on the Supreme Court's ruling on the standard of proof for employer retaliation cases. For BLR, I'm Joan Farrell. Thanks.